What's up, my fellow small business supporters? It's Savvy, your favorite gender non-conforming girl. And today we are here to go into episode 2 of the Deep Dave series on Dave Ramsey. If you remember, this past week we went into part 1, which talked about what type of workplace Dave Ramsey's running and what his former employees had to say. Today we are going to take a look into another element of Dave Ramsey and his career and his financial advice. Now, in last week's video, I made it clear that I am not a financial expert by any means, and that video was to critique more of the way that Dave Ramsey runs his business and treats his employees rather than the financial advice he gives. However, there is one element of money management that I do feel pretty confident in giving my opinion on, and that is being against multi-level marketing. You guys know I'm part of the Anti-MLM movement. You can check out the Anti-MLM playlist up in the cards. One thing that a lot of people mentioned to me when I talked about doing this Deep Dave series was, well, at least Dave Ramsey doesn't support MLMs, or at least unlike some of these other business gurus, he's not out here trying to promote MLMs to other people. Last week on Your Morning Guru, which is my morning show podcast and live stream that I host with my friend RK Gold, the link to that's in the description below. Please subscribe and check out that channel. But last week on that channel, we were covering Dave Ramsey, and we decided to look into some of the videos and look into some of the material of what he actually had to say about multi-level marketing companies. And as it turns out, he's not as against them as a lot of people think. While from the outset his stance on MLMs might not seem entirely clear, today we are going to do some deep digging to figure out what exactly he really thinks. So let's go uncover some truths about Dave Ramsey and how he really feels about multi-level marketing, and let's use our investigative skills to dig deeper into this situation. By the way, if you're someone who enjoys solving mysteries and uncovering truth, then you're gonna love today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by June's Journey, which is a hidden object mystery game set in the 1920s. You guys know how much I love retro stuff, so I was really excited when June's Journey reached out to sponsor this video. June's Journey is free to download on mobile devices, including phones and tablets, and runs on both Android and iOS, as well as on desktop with Amazon and Facebook. To play the game, please check out the link in my description below. In the game, you play as June, a woman in the 1920s who is tasked with solving the murder of her sister through uncovering clues. The gameplay involves finding hidden objects inside beautiful and colorful scenes inside a family's mansion, and those clues then lead you to uncovering the truths behind the murder. This game is really fun when you need something that's both engaging and relaxing at the same time. I like to play this game on the couch, like if I'm taking a break, waiting for a video to export. It's easy to just pop it up on my phone and start playing the game. It gets my brain thinking, but also doesn't require such a commitment and so much effort that it doesn't feel like relaxation. And I really like how the game gets you really invested in the story, gets you invested in the plot, but then also is quick enough and easy enough that it has easy stopping points, so you can play for only a few minutes if you want, or if you want to get invested and lose yourself in the game for hours, you can absolutely do that too. So I definitely recommend giving June's Journey a try. Go ahead and check out the link in my description below and the link in my pinned comment to download the game for free. Thank you again so much to June's Journey for sponsoring today's video. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope that if you guys decide to give the game a try that you really enjoy it as much as I did. Now, let's talk a little bit more about multi-level marketing, Dave Ramsey, and where he stands on this entire mess.
Dave!
From the standpoint of, ooh, you will not go unpunished.
You guys asked for it.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome for the first time. I'm Savvy, and this is Savvy Writes Books, the channel where we talk about books and business and put out videos every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. Central. Right now, we are in a series called Deep Daves, where we dive deep into guys named Dave, or sometimes dive deep into the buttholes of buttholes named Dave. The last Deep Dave series was on Dave Hollis. This series is on Dave Ramsey. This is part 2. Part 3 will be coming in June. Let's go straight to the source, Dave himself. Alright, this video is from 2013, so let's take a look at what Dave has to say, and then we'll take a look at some more recent videos as well.
Thank you for joining us, America. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Shelly is in Austin, Texas. Hi, Shelly. How are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm a little nervous. I'm so excited I'm getting to talk to you. I can't believe this.
Well, me too. How can I help?
I have a situation that was just presented to me recently by an acquaintance that I go to church with, and he passed on to me a pamphlet from World Financial Group about a business opportunity for women. And
oh no, not World Financial Group! Guys, check out the World Financial Group video I did, linked up in the cards. In that video, I reacted to Grant Cardone's speech at World Financial Group, and also read some of the World Financial Group Glassdoor reviews where people talked about all the cult shit that was going on there. Woo! World Financial Group, no thanks.
It's got a lot of marketing information in it about how women can break the glass ceiling and so on and so forth. And I did a little bit of research online about the company.
Listen to that right there. It's all about women breaking the glass ceiling. You guys know how the MLMs, they love to capitalize on feminism and be like, oh, we empower women. Especially a company like World Financial Group, which I think is one of the few MLMs that is actually more male dominated. So, dude, that's hilarious that they're just like, women, you too can get scammed.
And it looks to me to be like a multi-level marketing division of maybe, I know they're a large company that they own several like Transamerica and some other, Nationwide Insurance and some other companies that we know by name. And so I guess I'm just calling to seek your advice. I was kind of considering it as maybe going in as, I currently own my own business, I own a maid service, which is a lot of hard work, but I was looking at.
She already owns her own business, and she's considering putting some of the money into the MLM. No, Shelly, don't do it. No, Shelly.
This is possibly a part-time opportunity, but I don't have any experience with these multi-level marketing companies and what's involved with them as a job opportunity, and so I just thought I would seek your advice.
Okay. Well, let's talk about multi-level marketing, or network marketing as it's sometimes called, just in general, before we talk about World Financial. Multi-level marketing in general is fine. There's nothing.
He said it right there. He said it's fine. Said it's fine, so everyone who is coming at me like, Savvy, Dave Ramsey at least says not to join MLMs. Nope, he said it's fine. Just said it's fine.
Wrong with it, in essence. The upside is that you are obviously selling out there in the marketplace. You control your destiny. There is no glass ceilings. There's no, it's kind of the wild.
That's this whole thing. There is no glass ceilings. Okay, Dave Ramsey, as a finance expert of all people, should understand what the glass ceiling is all about. It's about barriers that are put into place to keep you from reaching the top, right? And so it's this whole idea of like meritocracy, and he's over here like, there is no glass ceiling in an MLM. How does that make sense? It's this whole idea of like, oh, the sky's the limit. You can earn unlimited money. No, it just means that someone isn't deciding your salary. You can sell anything theoretically and earn unlimited money. You could start your own business selling dirt out of the ground and earn unlimited money, but nobody's gonna want it.
Wild West, whatever you can figure out to get done, you get done within the guidelines of how you get paid at that company. And there have been people that have made serious money in those over time, and I know people that make over $1 million in 4 or 5 different ones. Okay, and so there, in that sense, there's a legitimacy to it. It's a real thing. Sometimes people call it a pyramid scheme or something like that. It's not a pyramid scheme.
It is a pyramid scheme. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, allegedly. Okay, hold up. Multi-level marketing companies are not technically pyramid schemes because pyramid schemes don't have a retail product and MLMs have a retail product, even though, as Dave says, so for the sake of the YouTube police, they're not a pyramid scheme. They're just a pyramid-shaped losing money scheme. So much better.
Okay. Pyramid scheme, the last man standing gets nothing, and that's not true of a true multi-level because a product is actually being sold in there. From a technical standpoint or a legal standpoint, then that's kind of the.
Okay, I like that you did clarify this. From a legal standpoint, it's not legally a pyramid scheme. A product is being sold. Okay, Dave, to whom?
Good side of the multi-level. The bad side of the multi-level is you need to understand the business that you are in, and if you understand that business, you're okay. And the business you're in is not the financial business in this case or whatever they do. The business you're in is recruiting. And
he just said it right there. The business you're in is recruiting. He didn't even say it's sales. He said the business you're in is recruiting. Okay, Dave. So if the business you're in is recruiting, but the only thing keeping it from being a pyramid scheme is that there's a product getting sold, who's the one that's buying the product then, Dave? Who's the one buying the product? So this is what Dave said back in 2013 when Shelly called. Man, I really hope Shelly does not join the MLM.
Shadrach's with us in Boise, Idaho. Hi, Shadrach. How are you?
Howdy, Dave. Good. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
I need some advice. My wife and I were approached by some friends who have their own business.
I'm calling it now. They don't have their own business. It's Amway. Especially if he and his wife were both approached by friends. It's Amway.
And they claim they're going to be retiring in about 4 to 5 years.
They're not going to be retiring ever. They're going to be too deep in debt to retire.
And I'm 26, and they're about our age. And they said that their mentor, who taught them how to do this, retired at 28 years old.
That didn't happen.
They own their own company through Worldwide Group. Have you?
Worldwide Group, subset of Amway. I called it, y'all.
It's an offshoot of Amway, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Sure.
So I'm, there's a whole vetting process. We've been to 2 meetings so far. I'm very skeptical, and I want to be very careful because I don't want to get scammed. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's an MLM, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's an MLM. Famous last words.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering for your advice if this is possibly legitimate or not.
Well, if it is is it actually owned by Amway?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know there's a whole bunch of little companies underneath Amway, and
Or did somebody leave Amway
You know why there's so many companies under Amway? Because no one fucking likes Amway, and they have a terrible reputation.
and start this? That would be different.
No.
Okay.
No, then it's under Amway.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's technically owned by the Amway people, it is not a scam in that you're not going to lose, they're not going to steal your money or something like that.
Okay, when Dave says it's not a scam, he's like, you hear him catch himself there? He's like, it's not a scam in that you're not going to lose. I mean, they're not going to steal, right? Okay, he almost said in that you're not going to lose money, but Dave, he knows. He knows that people lose money in Amway. There's no way he doesn't know. People are losing money left and right in Amway. I've talked to people who have been in Amway in the past, people who have lost thousands upon thousands of dollars, gone into deep debt in this company, and this is what I don't get. Dave, who is this person about, like, debt is evil, God hates debt, we need to get past all debt, we need to have no debt in our lives, and all these people who claim, Dave Ramsey helped me get out of debt, which is great, but then he can turn around and be like, Amway might be okay, when I know that Amway is what has caused so many people's debt from what I know is from paying into these companies that emotionally manipulate you. Like, holy fuck, Dave.
Amway's a legitimate, full-on company, and they don't rip people off and that kind of a thing. But then
I think when he says it's not a scam, he means, like, they're not gonna, like, call you on the phone and tell you, you have to pay us this or you'll be fined by the government and then trick you into giving them their bank account number. Like, it's not that kind of scam, but it's absolutely going to make you promises that they can't. Alright, this is the one I really want to talk about here because this video, Eric Worre actually responded to, so we'll get into what that means in just a second.
Sarah is in Cincinnati. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm great, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So,
I like how Dave always says better than I deserve, because, like, it's true.
I have a question for you. I wanted to possibly maybe make some extra money, and my husband's a little skeptical, and so he says, call Dave and ask Dave.
Okay. What are you wanting to do to earn extra money?
Sell female, or not female, but weight loss.
Did you see the look on Dave's face when she said female? Dave was suddenly like, oh god, something to do with women, but I discriminate against women.
And skin products for like a company. Should I say the name of the company?
You can if you want.
It's called It Works.
Okay.
Don't sell for It Works. Every single person I know who's been in It Works had the worst experience. Anyway, continue.
Is this like a multi-level organization?
Yes.
And that's the reason for your husband's skepticism?
Yes.
Okay. All right. It's not that he doubts you, and it's not that he doubts that you could probably earn some extra money, and he loves probably that you're willing to. He doesn't think this is going to work.
Well, yeah, he just he's just very skeptical. So he's not that entrepreneur type like I am.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you have a really good job. You should just be happy.
Mm-hmm.
We're debt free. Besides the house, we owe like $75,000 left on our mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
This is what upsets me. Sarah and her husband are both gainfully employed, have no debt, and are only $75,000 away from paying off the rest of their entire mortgage. These people are in fantastic financial shape, and someone wants to ruin it with It Works. Sarah, get out before it's too late. Don't join It Works, Sarah from Cincinnati.
And we've gone to your classes. We do the 15% into the retirement, and we combined income is like $130,000.
Mm-hmm.
They have a combined income of $130,000 a year. They're only $75,000 away from paying off their mortgage. Sarah, do not go into It Works. You are in such a good position. Do not blow that. You have such a good life going for you. Do not blow that, Sarah.
So the risk, I don't see it being very high as far as...
and so why are you doing this?
Because I feel like I was meant for more. Like I like for selling or something.
Okay.
I've read like all your books and all the Zig Ziglar books, and I'm just like, you know.
What do you do? What do you do for a living now?
I work for Kissing Cup Elevator here in Cincinnati, in office admin, and it's a good business, and there's like room for growth and everything, and so.
All right, here's what I would tell you. All right.
Before Dave says that here's what I would tell Sarah. It sounds like the root cause of what's even considering her to join It Works in the first place is, so she never mentioned anything about being passionate about, nutrition or wellness or fitness or weight loss or anything like that. She just said she liked the idea of selling, that she felt like she had more to give the world than what she was doing at her job. And she and her husband sound like they're in a really good financial situation. From this call alone, I'm not an expert, guys. I'm not an expert. This is just my opinion. From this call alone, it sounds like the real issue here is that this woman wants to do something more than what she's doing. Like, she's not satisfied at work. Maybe her job is not, enough of a challenge for her, or maybe her job is not igniting that passion. It sounds to me like what she needs to do is try to figure out what she's most passionate about, figure out if she needs to find that through work fulfillment or through a hobby. Maybe starting up her own company, that's her own company, might be the solution to this, or especially considering she and her husband are both doing so well financially. Maybe she could start up something on the side while they're also still making good money and see if that grows into something. Like, there's just so many other options, and I think she just really needs to brainstorm what it is that really gets her going and figure that out. That would be my advice. So let's see what Dave says.
I think you need to stop and start thinking about if you want to open your own business and use your skills in the marketplace because you're entrepreneurial and you want to open it as a side business, and grow it to the point that it could even replace your full-time job at some point, you need to kind of back up and whiteboard that and say, if I was going to do that and I could do anything in the world I wanted to do and time and money were no object, right? That kind of a question, then what would I do? Okay.
Wait, okay, Dave's actually giving her good advice here. Okay, hold up. Guys, time to give credit. I need to come up with a little song for this. Let me figure one out right now. Here we go. It's time. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give credit where credit is due. Yeah, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give credit where credit is due. And life happens through you. Okay, so yes, I'm giving credit to Dave where credit is due right here because, oh my goodness, what I just said is exactly what he just said, and I think he's spot on with this advice. Now, if he then turns this around and ruins it by saying that the MLM might be okay, then I'll get mad. However, I think what he's saying here is actually pretty accurate, so good work, Dave.
Okay. I don't know if the answer to that question would be the thing you're proposing.
It's not. It's not the answer.
Okay.
I think this just came across your path from a friend, and it scratched your itch, your entrepreneurial itch, but you probably weren't sitting around going, I want to get in the weight loss and makeup business. I want to hire and train salespeople for a living in a high turnover environment. You probably weren't sitting around saying that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
It does make sense.
So, because, here, the upside of multi-level organizations is that the sky's the limit.
Oh my god, see, that's what I hate, that he turns it into the upside, which is the sky's the limit. He ruined it. He was on a good track right there. I will say, I appreciate that Dave is trying to give people who call in about MLMs a realistic expectation, to an extent. I think he definitely doesn't portray enough quite how bad it often is, but I do appreciate that the expectation he gives them is not that, oh, it's going to be all about following your dreams. You'll get to build a dream business with a product that you're passionate about and work with. He's basically like, no, this is not going to feel the same way as, running a company or producing something that you're passionate about. This is going to be sales and recruiting and hard selling and recruiting people and managing a team that recruits more people and hard selling to more people, and you're going to be doing it all the time. So at least I do appreciate that he's trying to set up that realistic expectation, and I will give him credit for that because I think that that's good and that's a lot better than what a lot of these gurus do. However, I still don't like the whole sky's the limit approach. It completely ignores the idea of a dried up market. If you are going to be selling and recruiting constantly, which Dave admits is what's going to happen, then if you're recruiting other people and they're recruiting other people and someone else recruited you and someone else recruited them, how many people are selling the exact same products at the exact same prices with no differentiation to compete on these things in the same sales territories? how many actual outside customers are there going to be for these things, and how long until the market is completely dried up? My point isn't that she's not going to find any customers at all. My point is that how can you say the sky's the limit when there are a finite number of people in the world, and there are a finite number of people that are interested in certain products, and a lot of those people have already been tapped by other people. So that doesn't make sense to me.
Whatever you want to do. The downside is they're so hyped up, and people that are in them drive the rest of us crazy, because
I appreciate he says that at least.
we don't want to talk to you when you're in them because you drive us nuts. You know what I'm talking about. And and the downside is that kind of stuff. And the downside is that, you know, people get into them thinking, oh, I'd like to make a little extra money. I'd like to be entrepreneurial. And they really don't realize what they're getting into. And that you basically, if you're going to make good money in a multi-level, 6 figures or more, you're going to be working a ton of hours, nights and weekends.
I do appreciate he says that, because I think a lot of MLMs try to sell people on the idea of you can make a full-time income with part-time hours. It's amazing. You can just work from your phone, work from the beach, work in bed, make money while you sleep. And then when you end up not making money, it's like, well, you shouldn't have expected it to be easy. You should have known that this is not just a job. This is your business, right? They flip the script on you. I at least appreciate that he is setting that expectation. However, I wish he would just come out right and say, don't do it. You're highly likely to go into debt. Dave Ramsey is so skeptical of the concept of buying cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all of that, which is something we went into really in depth on Your Morning Guru. And while I don't have, strong opinions either way on crypto right now, other than I don't think it's very good for the environment. But other than that, it's kind of like, how can he be so anti-risk and anti-debt when it comes to that? But when it comes to these companies that have been proven time and time again to put people into devastating debt, he doesn't just outright denounce it. That's what I don't get.
You're going to be recruiting salespeople for a living. That's what you do. You are in the recruiting business. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently evil or bad about that. And you're going to be training salespeople, and you're going to be in a high turnover environment, because most of them don't make it in that environment. It's a high turnover environment. And so if that is what you want to do, if that's your calling, then this is a good way to flesh out your calling. And it's a...
So what's really interesting about this video is that Eric Worre actually responded to it. You guys remember Eric Worre, the network marketing training pro guy? He wrote the book GoPro. I did a review of it on this channel. He's the pyramid that encapsulates the pyramid. He's the guy that's selling training services to people in multi-level marketing schemes for them to then go and sell their product to people who are going to recruit other people, but he's up there selling all the training to those people, right? I don't like Eric Worre at all. I think he's awful. Have you guys ever heard the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? I completely disagree with that. I have seen too many cases in the business guru world where two people are against each other and are at war with each other. And even though I'm like, oh, I want to support you because you're trying to take down this person that I think is really awful, I can't support you because you're also really awful. We see that all the time, right? We saw it with Dan Locke versus Tim Sales. A big one, Jordan Belfort versus Grant Cardone. Holy shit. And now we've got another one entering the ring, Dave Ramsey versus Eric Worre. So let's take a look at Eric Worre's response to this video.
Hey everybody, this is Eric Worre and welcome to NetworkMarketingPro.com. And today I have a beef with Mr. Dave Ramsey. And here's why. Yesterday I was driving the car, headed to go to the gym to work out. And
I have a beef with Mr. Dave Ramsey too. That's one thing we have in common, Eric Worre.
I turned the radio on and Dave Ramsey was on, as he is. And I like listening to Dave. Dave talks about financial responsibility. Dave talks about getting out of debt.
Dave talks about financial responsibility and getting out of debt, yet he can't fully denounce the MLMs. I love this. Eric Worre's mad at Dave Ramsey because Dave Ramsey was too hard on MLMs, and I'm mad at him because he wasn't hard enough. It's like, look at the political spectrum. Let's take the political compass test. One quadrant's going to be Eric Worre, one's going to be me, one's going to be Dave Ramsey, and I'm not sure what the other one's going to be yet.
All concepts that I agree with. But on this particular call, he got a caller from a young lady, and I only caught the second half of it. I didn't get all of it, but I got the context through the rest of his answer. And the caller was saying, hey, I have these entrepreneurial hopes, I have these entrepreneurial dreams, and I found this network marketing company that I think is a solution for me. A friend introduced me to this network marketing company. And he proceeded to dump cold water on her.
He didn't even do that. Like, we literally just watched the video. Dave was too kind to MLMs in that video. I can't believe I'm fucking defending Dave. I hate Dave Ramsey. I'm fucking defending him because in that video, but he was basically like, but what Eric is saying here is wrong. That's not what Dave did. But I guess if Dave would be a better person if he had actually done what Eric Worre said. Like, I wish the straw man version of Dave Ramsey existed, because Eric Worre's straw man Dave Ramsey is a much cooler guy than real Dave Ramsey. You feel me?
In a really irresponsible way. And Dave, I hope this message gets to you so I can, at least you can hear my perspective on this. I want to talk to Dave first, Dave, if you hear this, and then I want to talk to the young lady, and the rest of you can kind of listen in. What Dave basically said was, are you sure this is your dream? Are you sure that this is the best entrepreneurial way for you? These...
I'm sure that it's not the best entrepreneurial way for her. The best entrepreneurial way is to start your own business. But either way, like, the one thing that Dave did do well was try to get her to question and think critically about what her goals actually were. And if Eric doesn't support that, then I have a hard time trusting him if I didn't already.
Network marketers, they make it sound so easy, but it's hard. It's hard work.
It is hard.
And I have friends that are successful in network marketing, but it's hard work. And, is this exactly the product that you want to be representing? And is this? And just doubt, cold water on top of this young lady. And do you realize that for the rest of your life, you're just going to be recruiting? Mm-hmm. That's all it is recruiting. And is that really what you want to do? Do you want to be a recruiter? Do you want your friends looking at you funny because these network marketers drive everybody crazy? So it made my blood boil just a little bit because, Dave,
Eric Worre, you make my blood boil a lot of bit.
You weren't telling her the whole truth.
Okay,
here's the truth. As far as entrepreneurial options, you should be champion.
Here's the thing. I agree with Eric on this. Dave did not tell her the whole truth. He forgot to tell her about how, statistically, according to John M. Taylor's study that was published on the FTC public comment section, not officially sanctioned by the FTC, I think I should let you guys know that. However, according to that study, from studying income disclosure statements of over 200 MLM companies, it was found that less than 1% of people ever turn any kind of profit, and 99% of people are likely to lose money in an MLM. According to Robert Fitzpatrick's book, Ponzi-nomics, that statistic is actually even better looking than what it actually is, because often those people who are making the money, that top 1%, are the people who are staying in over a long period of time, and income disclosures are analyzed from year to year. So what actually happens is that people then come into the company, lose a lot of money, turn around, leave, and things like that. So while it looks like it's 99% of people that are losing money, that 99% comprises a lot more people than just those 99% you would have seen in that individual year. Check out my review of the book Ponzi-nomics. I'll link it up in the cards. That goes really into depth about that. But Dave should have told her all of that.
Network marketing above all others because it's the most financially responsible of all choices.
How?
The average person in the United States that wants to start a traditional business spends $65,000 to do it. Of the money that Dave, they should be spending or saving and investing into their future, $65,000 borrowed from friends and family, $65,000 into a business that they know nothing about most of the time. And
okay, averages are not medians. Let's just talk about that real quick. If the average business costs $65,000 to start up, and we're taking into account all businesses, including things like restaurants and law firms and things like that, that you might spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to start up. And then you're taking into account also other businesses that you might pay nothing to start up because it's a service-based business that you are able to just go ahead and start doing services for people and start off through word of mouth without having to pay for ads right out the gate. So he's making it sound like every business is going to make you pay $65,000 to start. In reality, it really depends and varies wildly depending on which industry you're going into. And that's why I will say, right, giving credit where credit's due, Dave's advice to this woman was actually pretty good when he said, spend some time and figure out what that goal is, what that thing you actually want to do with your life is that sets you on fire as an entrepreneur. How Eric thinks that's dumping cold water on her dreams, I cannot imagine.
90% of those fail over the course of 5 years. So in network marketing,
90% of those fail, 99% of people lose money. You're losing the statistics for Eric.
Marketing, Dave, what you needed to tell her is, hey, listen, if you have entrepreneurial hopes and dreams, network marketing is definitely better because instead of $65,000, you can do $1,000 or less.
Yeah, you can start most businesses for $1,000 or less too. Averages are not modes. Averages are not medians. Averages are, you add up all of the data points and divide by the number of data points. It doesn't account for the standard deviation. $65,000 to start up a business is not what most people experience. It's just what you experience when you add everything up and divide it by the number of data points. Eric. When I started up my freelance copy editing business in 2016, you know how much I paid to start it? Nothing. I paid nothing to start it because I got a free shitty web domain online and I networked at some writing events to try to find my first couple of clients. And now I have a few regular clients that I work with. I paid nothing to start that business. You want to know how much I paid to start Forever Home Friends? About $7,500, which I didn't pay out of pocket because I raised it through taking pre-orders on Kickstarter, so I never went into any debt for that. However, that's how much that took me to start, and that's a business I've been successfully running for 4 years almost now. So, no, you don't have, like, a lot of times MLM starter kits are going to be more expensive than starting up your own business. And even if they're not, that's not accounting for the PPV you're going to have in an MLM, where you're going to have to pay monthly fees to keep things going, or pay for your quota or your sales quota to keep your rank. Oh my God, going off the rails here. You're making my blood boil, Eric.
And even with that, Dave, you said, oh, you might be stuck with a bunch of product in your garage. That's not even true. You got to get educated on that. Almost every network marketing company in the world has a 90% buyback policy, 90%. So if they spend $1,000 to start their business and get some initial inventory, their risk is $100, not $65,000. So what's the most financially responsible choice for a person who wants to pursue entrepreneurial dreams, just from an economic standpoint?
Not MLM. MLM is not responsible for pursuing entrepreneurship at all, because there's no entrepreneurial freedom in an MLM. You can't set your own prices. You can't advertise your products however you want. You can't create your own products or modify the products to best fit your customer base. You are stuck selling products that everyone else is selling at set price points and operating within company rules. So if you're entrepreneurial, no, MLM is not for you whatsoever.
It's network marketing.
No.
It's the safest. It's the most risk-free when it comes to just the dollars. Now, second thing you talked about was that all you're going to be doing is recruiting.
Yeah.
Here's a better way to say it, Dave. All you do is you expand your network and you expand the productivity of that network.
So recruiting. You just said recruiting in different words. That doesn't make it not recruiting. Yay, Eric knows synonyms. Woohoo! Let's take a look at a more recent video of Dave's from October of 2020, so a little over 6 months ago now. Should I sell Amway? Those other videos were a few years ago. This one is more recent. Let's see what Dave's most recent views on Amway are.
Dave is with us. Dave is in Louisville, Kentucky. How are you, Dave?
Talking to Dave.
Hey, Dave, I guess I'm better than I deserve. I have a quick question for you. I make about $45K a year, and I actually only have about $10,000 left on my home mortgage, so I'll have that paid off well under a year's time. So my question for you is, I have several friends, and they know I listen to you. They've approached me about Amway, and I didn't know if for someone like me in my position, where I'm soon to get out of debt, or even for someone that's just fresh out of debt, is Amway a smart decision for me?
Well, I think the thing that happens with the multi-level organizations is they think if you're breathing, you're a fit. And so
that's another good point. I'll give them. Too many MLMs try to recruit anyone and everyone. And if anyone and everyone is the right salesperson, then no one's really the right salesperson, right? If these companies were going to pay you a salary, they would be searching for the right people.
they come at everybody. The truth is, there's two skills. I've got 3 friends that make 7 figures in Amway. And I've got 3,000 friends who hate Amway because they go driven nuts.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. I will again give him credit for saying I have way more friends that say, no, Amway sucks, than I have friends who are successful in it. So I appreciate him throwing out those numbers, even though I wish he would be, like, a little harder on it, but we're not that far into the video, so let's keep going.
Okay, so it is a valid way to make money, okay?
No.
But there's 2 skills you have to have. On the short term, you've got to be really good at sales. And, just hamming it up and, getting the party set, because you don't make any money just recruiting. Mm-hmm. The money is made on the short term with the actual sales of the products. And so you got to get good at sales. On the long term, the people that have made 7 figures, that make serious money, like $1 million a year kind of thing, okay? And they do exist, and I know them personally. They are master recruiters, motivators, and trainers of salespeople. And so they motivate and train the people that you're talking to, that motivated and trained the people that they're talking to, that motivated and trained the people that they're talking to, and they build these huge organizations, these huge hierarchies. But it is a very high turnover world in multi-level. Very few people stay in multi-level very long. And so it's very high turnover. So you're constantly rehiring, retraining, and motivating a sales team. So if you can see yourself being a big-time recruiter, trainer, and handling a high turnover sales force, then you could do very well in a multi-level, Amway being one of them.
Okay, Here's the thing that I talked about this a little bit too when I reviewed Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule. I think a lot of business gurus have this, you're the protagonist of your story and also of every story mindset. They don't have a way of trying to get people to think of things beyond themselves. And maybe that's because these gurus are most successful by being more self-centered people. But the problem is when you keep the focus only on yourself, you don't see the broader implications of everything. So I talked about this in Grant Cardone's book, right, where he was saying you got to 10x everything. If your sales team isn't making enough sales, don't decrease their quota. Instead, 10x the quota. Make it so that they have to do 10 times more. And then in the same breath, he'll also say, well, if you weren't meant to just be part of someone else's business, you want to run your own business and break away from that. Well, okay, but Grant, now imagine that everybody reads your book and takes your advice. Who are you going to be able to abuse on your sales team to make them work 10 times as hard for the same amount of pay if everybody's also reading your book and taking your advice to break away and start their own thing and has to do that to their sales teams? It doesn't work, right? Because the idea is business gurus give you this advice with the presumption that you're going to stay focused on yourself and that you're not going to think about applying it to other people because you're the special one. Same thing here with what Dave's saying, right? He's over here talking about how you're going to have to motivate the team, that you're going to have to recruit and motivate people all the time. Okay. Recruit and motivate those people to do what? To recruit and motivate other people or to sell the product? Because if it's recruiting and motivating them to sell the product, then why wouldn't you be able to just go into the company and be one of those people that sells the product? Well, because selling the product doesn't actually make you long-term money, as Dave just admitted right there. Okay, so then you're actually training and motivating people to learn how to recruit, train, and motivate other people. When does the product get sold? In another video, Dave admitted that if there's no product getting sold, it's a pyramid scheme. So isn't this kind of him alluding to the fact that it's a pyramid scheme? But why won't he say it? Why won't he say that this is a bad decision? Is it to protect his friends in Amway? I don't know. Is it because he knows that a lot of his audience is people in MLMs, or that he's part of that world? Or is it that he knows that people who hate MLMs would not put up with his cult type way of running his office? Like, there's got to be crossover there, right? I'm just totally lost. So as of right now, Dave Ramsey seems to really be trying to sit on the fence when it comes to MLM companies. He tries to say maybe he's not totally pro or anti-MLM, that you need to understand what you're getting into, but it's possible to make money, but I won't say it's likely, and things like that. I really want to know your guys' thoughts about this in the comments below, so leave me a comment and let me know. Do you think that MLM companies are one of those things that you either have to be for or against? Like, if you're not against them, you're for them, right? That's kind of how I see it, because MLM companies are very ingrained in the political fabric of the US and also a lot of other Western countries, particularly capitalist countries as well. Again, I'm going to recommend my review of the book Ponzi-nomics, where I really delve into the ways that MLMs have been in cahoots with various US politicians from every major political party over the past 40 years. So they're basically the norm. MLMs being legal and accepted are the status quo, and so it almost seems like you have to be pushing against them if you don't want these companies that have so many ties to our government and our legal system to be prevailing constantly like this. But some others may say that no, it's totally fine to remain neutral in certain situations, and this might be one of them. So that's an absolutely valid viewpoint as well. But I want to know what you guys think, because I kind of think that Dave Ramsey is towing the line and sitting on the fence in a way that isn't beneficial to anyone. It's not going to help his listeners, who I think really need to be told the truth, which is that no, you're not going to make money in an MLM company. If you're an entrepreneurial person, find what you're passionate about, find what motivates you, and start a business and make it happen. Speaking of which, if any of you guys are small business owners, you can join my business Facebook group called The Real Boss Babes, linked in the description below. It is a Facebook group all about uplifting other women in business. You don't have to be a woman to join, though. Any gender is welcome to join that group, but we're all about supporting small businesses, and we talk about running our own businesses there, and there's no MLMs allowed, so you can check that group out, linked in the description below. I want to thank my sponsor, June's Journey, once again for sponsoring this video. I really, really appreciate it. I will see you guys again next week, but in the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses, which does not include MLMs, and have an amazing weekend. Bye!
Dave!
From the standpoint of, ooh, you will not go unpunished.
You guys asked for it.